Hi guys, Mrs. Shaheen here. Today's science lesson, we're going to talk about gardening. I know there's been a lot of changes recently. You're home more, growing the grocery store you don't want to do as often. So I thought it'd be a great time to start planting a small garden. I'm going to do a container garden just because it's easier for me to plant and maneuver. I didn't want to have to till up my dirt in my yard to do this. So I'm doing a container garden. So I'm going to show you guys a few steps if you want to plant a few fruits or vegetables in containers to try to grow at home. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I did. You can use this information if you like. I think it's really neat. And my little boy Riker, tell him hello.
Hello.
He really is enjoying the garden thing. It's the first time he's getting to garden. So I'm going to walk you through what we did here. First thing I did is we didn't not want a bunch of grass growing in this area because this is where we're putting our container garden. So in our container garden, we took a bunch of dead leaves that we had fallen from our tree, and we put it right here to kind of smother the grass so it doesn't grow so thick. Yes, Riker, tell him hi. That's very cute. Okay, so that's the first thing we did. The next thing is I selected some containers. I didn't do anything special and I didn't buy any containers. I used containers I had around my house for various purposes. Also, my parents had some containers that they were no longer using that they donated to our cause. So that's what we did. You can see the various shapes of our containers we're using here. Almost any container will work. Plastic containers work really well. In fact, we planted some flowers in some old Easter buckets that we had from the children. So if you have a container, any container would work. What you want to do is make sure you have holes at the bottom of your container because you want to make sure the water can drain out and not sit and rot the roots of your plants. You can ask an adult to help you drill holes in the bottom of your container. A lot of times that can be done with a small drill or even a knife sometimes will work. But again, get an adult to help you. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through some of our plants here. We have broccoli, tomatoes, squash, green beans. These are Riker's flower containers I told you guys about. We have some corn, some sweet peas. These are cucumbers. These are pumpkin. Remember all the pumpkin seeds we had in class? Well, we used some of those to plant here, and they're doing very well, very pretty. See how beautiful? Also planted some cucumbers. And right here, that is called a pallet garden. What I did here is I found an old pallet that we had lying around. I put some black mesh underneath it because that keeps out the weeds. I laid my pallet on it. I put some bricks to hold it in place. And I planted some soil. And every other row I planted cauliflower and lettuce. So that'll give them a good area to come up with. First time I tried that also, so we're going to see how that works. Right here, we had a fire pit that was starting to rust out. We don't use anymore. So I thought that'd be a great way to plant watermelon. So that's what we have planted here. And the last bed we're just putting together yesterday, we used cardboard to line the bottom because we didn't want a lot of grass to grow. The same reason we use the leaves in the bed. We're using cardboard to keep the grass out. And we had these bricks that we had used for a fire pit that we were no longer using. So we took them and we moved them here. So the first thing, again, is to select the container you're going to use. So plastic containers work well. You can use pretty much almost anything, any kind of container, as long as you make sure there's drainage in it for the water to get out and not rot your plants. So we got all our containers. I use potting soil for most of this. Potting soil bought from Lowe's is what I use to fill up most of my containers. Now, you can also use regular dirt. We ran out of potting soil, and so yesterday, my kids and I went and we actually dug up some dirt we had in the back, just regular dirt. I'm mixing that with some of the leaves because what's the second thing that, what is the thing we're going to need for these plants to be able to grow successfully, guys? We know one, they need air, which we're outside, so of course they're going to get. They need nutrients, and the nutrients are going to come from that soil. And the leaves, as the leaves continue to break down, it's going to provide additional nutrients. So I'm going to mix that soil with these dead leaves to provide additional nutrients. Put the soil, whatever you choose, in your containers. We get potting soil, and we're going to use regular dirt. Then you're going to take your seeds, or if you happen to have plants, if you have plants that maybe you picked up at the garden center or what have you, but you can use leaves. You plant them about 1 inch deep into the dirt, okay, into the soil. 1 inch deep. Cover your seeds up with soil and water them thoroughly. One thing about a container garden is that the water dries up a lot quicker than it would in the ground, okay? So you want to water them very often. For the first couple of weeks, I'm going to water mine every day because the water's going to drain out. And we know when seeds are coming to life, when they're sprouting, they're going to need lots and lots of water. So I'm going to water it every day. So we have air, nutrients from our soil, water, okay? And what's the last thing we know they need? Well, the 2 more things, right? Space to grow, which is why they're in their own containers. And I might have to take some of the plants out as they grow if it gets too big, because we know they need enough room to grow. But then they need what? In order to produce their own food, they need sunlight. Sunlight so that they can have photosynthesis, which makes their own food. So, as you can see, my garden is planted in a very sunny area. Okay. We wanted to get plenty of sun so that these plants can grow. So, some of the plants, like tomatoes, need not quite as much heat, and same thing for our lettuce. So I planted those in areas that get partial shade in the afternoons. So that's one thing to consider. Read on your packet of seeds. If you don't have a packet of seeds, you can use some of the seeds you have at home. So if you have a pumpkin, or watermelon, or cantaloupe, or green bell peppers, any kind of bell peppers. What else? Potatoes. Lots of those things you can plant without having to buy seeds. You can get the seeds that were inside your plants. You can also use beans. If you have dried beans in the cabinet, you can take those out, soak them in water. Very nice, Riker. You can soak them in water so that they soften their shell a little bit, and then you can plant those, and those beans will come up. So we're going to recap. Living things, right? For plants to grow, they need air. They need place to grow, space, right? Which we have. And if we don't have enough room, we'll clear it out some later. They need nutrients, which they're going to get from their soil. They need water, lots of water, especially when you first plant them. And then they need sunlight to help them grow and produce their own food. So guys, I'm going to keep you posted as our stuff grows. Really fun. You know how we had planted our seeds earlier in the year. Really fun time for you guys while you're at home to go ahead and plant some seeds in some small containers and see what you can make. Hope you enjoyed the video.